Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about top 10 book cover trends which I hate and which I love. This is based on a blog post which I originally published on the 24th of June 2014, and it's basically doing half and half, so half what I like and half what I don't like. And it was from the Broke and the Bookish weekly blog hop, which is about book themed stuff. And so anyway, let's just get down with it. Trends I hate. Number one, oh look, my head is missing. I've seen some covers with just feet or legs that work, and I have no problem with just the upper body or the shoulders up. But why did chopping off the head, part of the face, or a good portion of the upper torso ever become a trend? Invincible Summer by Hannah Moskowitz is perhaps one of the creepiest examples of this trend, since it's just a torso in a bikini. Like, seriously, that's so weird and gross. I cannot say enough about how much I absolutely hate this trend, and it's particularly egregious when I see it in a so-called updated cover of a classic book. Like, for example, I'm reading this through the library I actually owned, Forever Amber by Kathleen Winsor, in the original first year of publication, 1944, green hardcover books. Also, obviously, this wasn't the copy I originally read 19 years ago, but when they republished it in a new edition, they cut off part of Amber's face. Like, why would you do that? There's kind of really just F's up what was a classic book. They're trying to make it look like a trendy modern book with the, oh look, my head is missing. That's just creepy. And that's also one of my rare few triggers in a movie or in a photograph, seeing a decapitated head or someone's head being cut off. Long story short, that was because my 11th grade, junior year of high school, so-called sociology teacher made us watch the Holocaust film Night and Fog, and there's a scene with all these decapitated heads. He gave us absolutely zero warning this was going to happen. He did not let anybody leave the room. He cared less. Some people in the classroom were crying, and I was so creeped out and scared by this film, I had to go back to sleeping with a nightlight, and I even moved the rubbish bin away from the head of my bed because I was afraid if I woke up in the middle of the night and looked down into it, I might see decapitated heads. So seriously, that is just, it's a personal thing as well as just thinking it's, creepy on an aesthetic level. So, rant over. Number two, on a similar token, a close-up on a mouth. Seriously, why? I had to laugh when someone at Goodreads pointed out that the cover of Catherine Longshore's Guilt bears a creepy, uncanny resemblance to the cover of Madonna's erotica album. Like, you have to see this to believe it. How will seeing someone's mouth make me avid to read the book? And on a side tangent, Guilt is, I don't think it's part of a trilogy, maybe a series, but I'm pretty sure it's a trilogy because, that's all the rage these days. It's like the Tudors. I personally, obviously there's lots of good books about them, and it's just a trend I never really understood. Why do you like the Tudors that much? Why do you have to keep writing about them if you really like, English history, particularly in that period of time? Can't you just write about normal people, or maybe choose some other people lesser represented in the royal family besides, oh, here's yet another novel about Henry VIII and his many wives. Number three, crotch close-ups. This should never have become a trend. The most horrifying example I have seen is Maureen Gibbon's Swimming Sweet Arrow. Beyond vulgar and tacky, even for a book that apparently has lots of tawdry sex scenes. It should tell you something when even actual erotica doesn't have crotch shots for covers. Like, seriously, what was going through the mind of the author and the artist and the team at the publishing house? It's just ew, gross. It's just why would that ever become a trend? It's just ew. Number four, the almost kiss. Boring. I'm also very old-fashioned and don't like PDAs. I tend to look away in embarrassment when I see people kissing or making out in public. I like the traditional Jewish wedding custom of saving the first kiss for a private rum after the ceremony, before the reception. Something so personal and private should not be on public display. If I get married, which I do hope will eventually happen, I will be following the Orthodox custom. The thought of kissing someone in public almost makes me break out in hives, making others privy to something that should be special and private between just two people. Number five, a bare chest. Yeah, that's original. Bonus points for unoriginality if he's also missing a head or part of his face. And, these days it's almost a guarantee that bare chest, of course, in a romance novel, like what other kind of genre of book would have a male bare chest on the cover? They're hairless, and it's just kind of, creepy because, like, oh, just so many things about this trend turned me off. And there was one blogging friend of mine in the writing blogosphere. I haven't really read her blog for many years. We just, fell out of touch because I guess the blog hop we were doing got discontinued, and I don't think she continued with the replacement for that blog hop. So anyway, she wrote a time travel romance, and I did like the excerpts she was sharing on her blog over those many months. Maybe it was even over a year, like I guess I've forgotten by now. But anyway, when her book cover came out, I was horrified. It had the bare chest, the hairless bare chest, of course. Part of the head was missing, or even the entire head, a crotch close up, and someone's reaching into the dude's pants. Like, seriously, that's so many, like, gross, like, stupid, tacky, like, hideous, like, easily dated cover trends all rolled up into one. That's just, like, gross. How could you be proud of that cover? I would not pretend to be proud if someone gave me that cover. I wouldn't even go public. I would, try to exercise as much creative control as possible if I were going through traditional publishing. And I would say, I do not want that to represent my brand or my story or anything about me. Please send this back to the chopping block. Do something else entirely. Or I would say, like, do not include these elements at all on my book cover because they're just gross and I hate them. Just like, oh, like, why? What is going through your mind when you approve a cover like that, or even set out to write or draw the cover if you're the artist? Like, why? And a bonus cover trend I dislike, which I did not include in this list. I don't know if this is really a thing anymore, but then again, I don't read YA if I can help it. The girl in the big poofy dress. That was like a real big trend for a while, and it was like freaking everywhere, and people were joking. You can't really tell the difference between all these books because like just maybe change the color of the dress or like the color of the girl's hair, whatever, just like a few details here and there, but they're like basically the same cover over and over again. Like, for example, The Selection, I know that was the book that kicked off a lot of Goodreads drama, and I'm one of the agents who was very unprofessionally involved in the bullying of the Goodreads reviewer who gave a negative review to the book. She was one of the 3 agents who had dogpiled me in a pitch fest I took part in 2012, but obviously I'm not going to publicly name her, but if you remember those details about that whole big drama, you will definitely remember who that agent was. Trends I like. Number 6. Actual artwork. Nothing against digital designs, but artwork is more old-fashioned and personal. Plus, it's just what I'm used to from reading mostly older books my whole life. Obviously it can work and be wonderful many times, but I'm just more a fan of like the old-fashioned, like hand-created artwork instead of all this like computer-generated graphic that looks like, photographs of people are just using stock photos. If you're going to use photos of people on the cover, they should, be like real people. Like, for example, if you're doing an alternative history or a historical novel including real people, I obviously did that on my alternative history, and Alexei lived, and it was like really beautiful sepia, like originally sepia, not like sepia after the fact, on both the front cover and the back cover, and as well I also did it on the spine image. So I really, really do enjoy seeing like real photographs and real artwork instead of just another like, computer generated nonsense. Number 7, a good color scheme. As an artist, that's one of the first things I notice about a cover, how color is used. Say, earth tones, blues and greens, purples and violets, yellows and oranges, off-white and gray. Number 8, an object or symbol important to the book. Say, a teacup, a fan, a palm tree, a basketball. It doesn't have to fill up the whole cover. Obviously, you don't want to have tons of blank space or anything. You should still like properly use like the rest of the space beyond that image, and it doesn't have to be super duper tiny, but sometimes just like one like major thing on the cover can speak more widely than like every single square inch of the cover is like filled up with like typefaces and artwork and like notes from people who reviewed the book or whatever. Sometimes less can be much more, and it like speaks way more effectively than like a giant piece of artwork. Number 9, artistic use of typography. Don't just plaster your name and the title in some generic overused typeface like monotype cursiva, Lucina handwriting, bleeding cowboys, or brush script, or the top 10. If you're not living under a rock, that without like question the top 2 all-time worst, most hideous, most unprofessional typefaces ever are Comic Sans and Papyrus. Just like, ugh, gross. I hate them so much. And Times New Roman, they're just gross. They make my eyes bleed. My eyes twitch when I'm like copying and pasting something from the web into a document, and it puts it right into Times instead of Palatino. Like, oh, I hate that font so much. I wish I could delete it from my computer. I will never type in that if I can help it. And that's a big reason why I've never submitted to contests who demand you write in frickin' Times. Like, oh, I hate it so much. I can't say enough about how much I hate Times. But anyway, take the time to match your typeface to the book's content. And don't just pick the first typeface you see, which evokes that mood. For example, there are a lot of Gothic-style typefaces out there in a wide range of styles, and I pulled this out from my shelf as an example. It has also good artwork as well as obviously typeface matching the Middle Ages, and also you don't want to feel like constrained to the free typefaces available on your computer. Like, look around at like the font or like 1,000 fonts or websites like that. I found a lot of wonderful free typefaces there, and sometimes you get really lucky and there's a sale, or you can even get stuff for free. I was like at the right place at the right time in April of 2014. I walked off with the entire 6-font family of Wellingborough, and I've used that for many like book covers and like chapter headings ever since then. That was like a huge value. Like if I had bought that when it was not on sale for free, it would have been like $54. So wow, like I love scoring a deal. I am totally my the granddaughter of my mother's parents. They also love like not being cheap, but just like finding a great deal, like bargain shopping, just things like that. It runs in the family. Number 10. Geometric shapes and patterns, or abstract modern artwork. Fee on those who bash or discount all post-1900 art and artists out of hand. My favorite artists are Paul Klee, my birthday buddy. He was born exactly a century before I was. Gustav Klimt, Pablo Picasso, Salvador Dali, Egon Schiele, and Albrecht Dürer. And I also like Vasily Kandinsky, and the one pre-1900 artist on my list, Dürer, would fit right into modern styles with his dark imaginings. It lets me use more imagination and evokes moods you don't often get with pictures of people or landscapes. And I forgot to mention when I was talking about artwork on book covers, Penguin Classics does a really, really super job of putting artwork on all of their editions I'm aware of. I'd be shocked to discover a Penguin Classic book that does not have artwork on its cover. This is a Heptameron by Princess Marguerite de Navarre of France. It's a classic of the Renaissance, and I'm really, really looking forward to finally getting around to reading the rest of it. Unfortunately, I only read the prologue last year, and just for whatever reason, didn't get around to reading the rest of, I think there's 72 stories, so look forward to a video and a blog post reviewing that in the future. Thank you very much for listening. If you enjoy content like this, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, and I particularly like seeing comments from you guys. I'm hoping to do one of my near future videos, a review of this book, which I liked it so much I read it in only one day. It's a historical romance, and I didn't realize at the time I checked it out, it's also a Christian historical romance, and it was a complete blank slate. I didn't know what to expect from this kind of subgenre, and I ended up really, really liking it. So I'm going to do both the video and a blog post about this, and I've already requested from the library. It's waiting for me right now, the first book in the series. It's not like a continuing series, but more, the couples who appear throughout the book are interconnected in some way. So look forward to that. I absolutely love historical fiction. So if you do enjoy, content talking about like things outside of the box like this in historical fiction and serious historical nonfiction, please consider subscribing. And thank you guys again very much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.